two. A 1, 2, 3. Michael Monroe here. Hello. You're checking out Backstage Access, and keep checking it out because it rocks and rolls and does everything you want it to do. So be cool and check out Michael Monroe Blackout States album. I'm sure you're gonna love it. Thank you. God bless you.
This is Chris with BackstageAxxess.com, and we are pleased to have with us today the legendary rock and roll frontman, Michael Monroe. Welcome to Backstage Access, Michael. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. We sure do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Now, your new record is coming out soon, Blackout States, so let's talk about that. Can you tell us a little bit about the record?
Yeah, well, it's actually the third album with this band that I've had now since 2010 with Sammy Alpha and Steve Conte and Carl Rockfist, and we've had originally we had Ginger Wildheart on guitar, who was replaced by Dragon a couple years later, and then a couple years ago Rich Jones replaced Dragon, and now otherwise it's the same band. And the Sensory Overdrive album was the first, when I restarted my solo career. After the rebirth of the Hanoi Rocks thing in the 2000s, I had Sensory Overdrive album, and the last one was Horns and Halos, and now this Blackout States is the third one with this band, and I'm quite happy with it. We've got a great band, great bunch of guys, great chemistry, and I think it's only gotten stronger. And sound-wise, it's maybe kind of like Back to the Roots type of, a bit more punky and more melodic than compared to the last one, but really happy with the record,
It has a great feel to it. It's a little bit classic, throwback, but still fresh and modern, up to date. What about the songwriting process? Do you come up with the ideas, or do your bandmates kind of help you out? How does that work?
We have a real band situation here. I mean, I've created an atmosphere where I allow everyone to write, encourage everyone to write. So we have like a democracy. It's really like a band situation. We all write, except the drummer Carl Rockfist. He doesn't write that much, but Sammy, me, and Steve Conte, and Rich, we all write songs, and I tell everyone to write as much as they want. And there's a lot of great creative energy in this band. And then there's a democracy. We decide together what we'll make decisions together and pick the songs and stuff together. So you have to give up certain things in order to get this band situation, but then when it happens, there's nothing better than that. So first thing is to leave your egos. There can be no egos, and I've done records with me playing everything except for the drums, and I've written everything myself, and I know what that's going to sound like. But I love collaborating with people and having other people's influence, and especially like with guys like Steve Conte is a really great songwriter, and the way he writes, he even writes lyrics thinking that we know each other so well, all of us. So he kind of writes lyrics knowing that I'm going to be singing them, so it has to be like for me. It's kind of in my world, my kind of way of thinking when he writes lyrics. So that's really cool. So I don't have to write everything myself, and I'm really happy about the situation because that's what I've always looked for. I'm a band-oriented kind of guy, and it's kind of ironic because this is called Michael Monroe, and it's really the band,
right?
Even more than the rebirth of the Hanoi Rocks thing was most like me and Andy and the rest of the guys. I'm not talking about the original Hanoi Rocks. The original Hanoi Rocks in the '80s, that was a family, and
right.
was there and everybody. But this situation is I'm really pleased with this, and it's only getting better. And the band is getting tighter, and have a great vibe here. And there's no difficult people, and not one, like Ginger used to say, there's wanker in every anchor, and there's none in this band now. So really happy with the situation and happy with the album.
Great. Now, you mentioned on prior albums kind of playing everything yourself, and I know there's some great sax on Good Old Bad Days, and I was just wondering, what other instruments do you play besides that?
The blues harp.
Okay.
I play the harp. Or blues punk, like I say. Yeah, so I play the harp. I play the guitar too, but not such Rich and Steve are such great guitar players, so I don't need to, luckily,
Right.
I'm lucky to have such great guitarists, so I don't have to play guitar. But I do, I can play pretty much everything except for, the trumpet. That I've never studied that, the mouth position on the trumpet. I never did that. Yeah. It's something I never studied, but I played a little bit of everything. I studied flute playing when I was younger, from the classical flute and the piano when I was 5. My mother started having me take piano lessons and stuff, and I came from a musical family, classical music, before I discovered
Okay.
rock and roll. But yeah, I'm pretty musical,
Awesome. Now, you've got some tour dates coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about the tour, and if you think you guys will be making it to the States at all?
Okay, we're touring on the album. The Blackout States tour will start in the UK. We're gonna on the 9th of October, when same day the album gets released. And we're gonna go on do like a double headline tour with the Swedish band Hardcore Superstar. Because this way, joining forces with them, we can play bigger venues.
Right.
More like, I think somewhere between 800 and 3,000 seaters. So that'll be better than doing it on our own and playing to to a few hundred. So that in this day and age, it's like kind of frustrating if you don't. So we're trying to expand our horizons and play the bigger audiences more. And this way it works. It seems to be, it's a good idea to go out with them guys. And we're going to do the whole October in the UK and in Germany. We're headlining in the UK, and I think they're probably headlining in Germany and Italy and places like that. Depending on who's bigger in which country, we swap places that way, and that's why it's a double headline tour.
Okay.
And we'll finish at the end of October. We're going to do actually 2 shows opening up for Alice Cooper in England.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then we're going to Finland, coming back to do some Scandinavia, maybe Sweden in November, and then end of November and December we're doing Finland. But the States, so far there's a festival, a cruise. I think they booked a cruise in, what was it, Monsters of Rock or something?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so that is something that they're working on getting some dates in the States around that.
Okay.
Then nothing's confirmed yet, but they're working on it, so I
Okay.
hope it'll work out.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, you've also got a new video out for the Old Kings Road song. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about the video, and did it bring back any special memories of your early days in London?
Oh, well, kind of. The video actually, it's funny because in London, the scenery has really changed, especially around the old Astoria Club. That building that's actually in the cover of the album was one of the buildings in the cover.
Okay.
That's been torn down now, and the whole area around Denmark Street. That's what that song "Dead Hearts on Denmark Street" is about. How the neighborhood's changed, and really, it looks a lot different than we used to know. A totally different kind of neighborhood there, and but it was fun to. I always go and look at the old places, old apartment, especially with Portobello. When I used to share a flat with Steve Baders, there was some great times, and there's some great memories there. The Old Kings Road video was mostly shot in Brighton. There's a hotel in Brighton, and the guy who directed the video, Ville Juurikkala, he knew this hotel in Brighton called Pelirocco.
Okay.
Pelirocco. Pelirocco Hotel, and it has different themes. Each room has a different theme. Like there's a punk, the Pretty Vacant room is the one where we filmed most of the video. As like a punky kind of theme. Then there was a mod room where Carl Rockfist, our drummer, was staying at the mod room, which had like Vespa. The night table was like in front of a Vespa, and on the other side of the bed it was the back of a Vespa, and had the mod, the circular, the flag and all that stuff on the wall. Keith Moon, the Who, and everything.
Right.
Then there was a Rasta room where Sammy was staying. This, had all this Rasta gear in there. I mean, all the way down to the keyring, and even the keyring, like the mud room had a scooter in the keyring. I mean, Vespa in the keyring, and I was staying at the Betty Page room. That was the old pinup.
Right.
Betty Page, which is the green wall behind me with the leopard skin bedspread. That was the Betty Page room, and Rich was staying at the Rough Trade room. And so we filmed some stuff individually in the rooms, and then we were all together in that pretty vacant room, and where I kind of almost flew out the window there in the end. And then some stuff was shot in London, in Soho, in the streets. That was in London, a part of the video. But it was fun. It was the same guy did our previous videos, Stained Glass Heart and Bella of the Lower East Side. It was him. So he's a good guy, and this was a good video. It's a fun band, and we have a good time together. And whenever we do anything, it turns out good.
Awesome. Now, you've been, of course, in rock and roll for a long time. What do you think's the biggest change between your early days in Hanoi Rocks and how, things are now for rock and roll?
Well, first of all, music has no business in the music business.
Right.
It's been about money and greed and looking for a formula, some kind of formula to make safe investment. The big business has ruined a lot of the great rock and roll. That the rock music used to be. I mean, the motivation used to be different in the 60s, 70s, or even the 80s, early 80s. So we didn't think about what genre this is going to be. Or does this fit the current trend, or
right.
how much this record's going to sell, how we're going to present it, and like what the record companies think of. So therefore, most of the bands around then, those days bands didn't think about stuff like money, and it was more about creativity, and where everyone had so much more personality and their own thing. Everyone's doing their own thing and not trying to copy the other guy who was like, say, in the 90s when a band like Nirvana, who were great, they came out and they became huge, which is great, but then 200 million other bands are trying to sound like them because they think, oh, that's the formula for success, and then they're so successful, let's try to sound like them, maybe we'll get successful too. And none of these bands will sound as good as the original one. So then there comes a name like grunge, or whatever they call it, grunge.
Yeah.
Of course, as soon as something has a name, to me, it's over. The record companies actually encourage that because they can put everything neatly in packages and sell them to people. This is heavy metal, this is grunge, and this is punk, and this is this and that, and so on. So that's why everyone kind of it's kind of kills creativity. It limits people. I like one of the best things about Hanoi Rocks was we defied all categories. Couldn't really, we played anything from punk to calypso, and that was one of the best things about it. It was spontaneous, and it was real, and there was a punky attitude, and rebellious, and wild and free, and crazy and experimental. Totally, unadulterated, pure joy of playing and existing and being in a band. And we nowadays it's been, to me actually, I never really sold that many. I never sold millions and millions of records, so that in that way it hasn't changed that much because I've always been a live performer, and
right.
The live thing is something nobody can duplicate or download or take away from me. So
right.
I'm still doing my thing, and I try to get better at it. And I'd like to think that there's always room for improvement, so that keeps me hungry. But,
right.
But the business is really it's pretty crazy nowadays. It's like you can't make money anywhere. People sort of seem to think that musicians can just live off of nothing, and you don't have to pay them. They just do it because they love it. And I don't need the exposure or whatever reason there might be. I'd be happy if my band gets a bit more wider or an opportunity to get wider audiences and recognition, more an opportunity to play to more bigger audiences at the same time would be great. That would be nice because I've noticed that a lot of people would not even necessarily like rock and roll or are that interested when they come to our show. They really are impressed and really like what they hear and see and feel it. They feel the energy, and it would be nice to see how that would work with an even bigger crowd.
Absolutely.
I mean, say, go on tour with some big, some cool big name, like, for example, Foo Fighters or Slash or something like that. Go on tour for a year or two with those guys.
That would be
nice guys. So it would be so much fun. So I'd love to. That was like my dream, you know.
that would be a tour I'd want to see for sure.
Yeah. Too. Well, we're doing 2 shows with Alice Cooper. That's a good start.
Yeah, that sure is.
So hopefully, we'll do more shows with him too. You know.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, you've never been one that sells millions of records. Do you think that helped your creativity because you don't have necessarily a label pushing you, you've got to have X many hits on this record and you've got to sell so many copies?
Well,
you think it gives you some freedom?
Anyway, but yeah, no, I don't think, starving and being, adversity, yeah, I know the saying that you have to suffer for good art. I've seen enough shit. I've suffered enough in my lifetime. I don't need any more character building. I got enough character now, so my music, I still write the same kind of stuff I always do, and I still stay hungry, and it would be nice if there was a label or somebody that would do something for me for a change, or for us,
Right.
To advance our career. I would never do what they tell me to anyways, and if they try to make me do something that's not me or that doesn't agree with me, of course the reason I kind of, some people say I shot myself in the foot, but I don't care because I have to live with myself. The Not Faking It album in 1989 was on its way to become a really big record, and it probably would have sold millions. But they had this stupid commercial on TV, this ad said, Michael Monroe, the real thing, he's not faking it, the brains behind Hanoi Rocks. And I was like, Jesus Christ. It was like, Hanoi Rocks had no brains. That was the best thing about the So therefore, I said I called the label, I said, who will approve this commercial? It's a horrible ad. You can't, it's misrepresentative. Hanoi was spontaneous, and it was really important to me to be presented in the right way.
Right.
So they said, well, once you sell, when you sell 1 million records like Bon Jovi, then you can make demands like that. And I said, well, I don't care. Just take it off. Oh, you don't like the ad? You want it off the air? Because it was showing every commercial break in, like a Headbangers Ball. Every commercial break, you could see the ad. I was dying. I was coming from Japan. I was like, what the hell? They're ruining me. But, so they took, it was okay. They took off the ad and they pulled the plug on the whole campaign for the whole record, at the same time. So that kind of killed it. So, but at least I can sleep my nights well and look in the mirror and know that I never compromise my integrity, to a fault. I guess part of being stubborn and being
Well,
that's why I never bought the labels. I never kissed anybody's ass. I've always done this on my own terms, and if it means that I'm less famous that way, then so be it.
Awesome. Well, it's a great attitude, and the record is just awesome. I loved it. Blackout States is something that I think everybody who would give it a chance and take a listen to it will walk away just loving you guys. And I hope that you have the best of luck with the record and the tour, and I hope that you get to do at least a few dates here in the States, so maybe we can have a chance to check it out live.
I hope so too. That'd be great. Cool.